Does Mel Kiper Jr. and all of his hair gel hate the Texas Longhorns after looking at his first mock draft that dropped last night? Sure seems that way. We'll discuss on today's edition of the BK Show. What's up, guys and gals? Welcome in to another edition of the BK Show. This is your one-stop shop for Texas Longhorns content on YouTube. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are approaching 1,000 subs. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. This has been so much fun so far and excited to continue to grow this thing with you people in the future. We're talking NFL draft today. We're talking mock drafts today. I am a mock slut. Kind of a real slut, but I am a slut for a good mock draft, and this is one of my favorite times of the football year. Just over 3 months away from the NFL draft. And of course, Texas coming off of a season in which it had 11 players selected in the 2024 NFL draft will look to top that number here in 2025. And the great Mel Kiper Jr., who has been doing this for a long, long time for ESPN, he released his first 2025 mock of the college football offseason last night on ESPN.com. He also dropped his position rankings for this year's draft class as well. And, well, not a lot of love for Texas. Todd. Thank you. Thank you, Mel. By the way, it's Brad, not Todd. But appreciate you chiming in. We'll start with Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft. It's just a one-round mock so far. Mel only has one Longhorn going on day one of the NFL draft. That is Kelvin Banks, who Mel has going 11th overall to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, that'd be a great pick, a fun one for Texas fans. Of course, the Niners are coached by lifetime Longhorn Kyle Shanahan. The 49ers obviously coming off of a down year, but they've been one of the best teams in football over the last few years and be a good fit for Kelvin Banks. And oh, by the way, the Kyle Shanahan offense has a ton of similarities to the Steve Sarkisian offense. So I think if Kelvin Banks could choose his destination, that'd be a good spot for him to end up. But that's not what we're talking about today. Mel Kiper Jr. has Kelvin Banks falling outside of the top 10. He also has Kelvin Banks as the second offensive lineman selected, going after Will Campbell from LSU. Kiper has Campbell going 10th overall, a pick before, to the Chicago Bears. Now, again, I'm a mock slut, so I've looked at a ton of mock drafts over the last couple of weeks. I've seen mocks that have Kelvin Banks going as high as 4th overall to the New England Patriots. I always look at the consensus mock draft as well on NFLmockdraftdatabase.com. If you've never been there and you're a fan of mock drafts, check it out. They compile all of the credible mock drafts that are out there, and they put it all in one place. Well, the consensus mock draft has Kelvin Banks as the first offensive lineman drafted, and they have him going 10th overall to the Chicago Bears. So Mel Kiper Jr. not as high on Kelvin Banks as some other mock drafters out there. And again, I've seen Banks going in the top 5. Mel doesn't even have Kelvin Banks going in the top 10. He doesn't have Kelvin Banks as the first offensive lineman selected. I would take the under on pick 11, by the way. Look, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I know. It sucks. So I would hate Kelvin Banks ending up in San Francisco from that standpoint. But again, I think the 49ers would be jumping for joy on draft night if the Texas left tackle is still available for them at pick number 11. Again, we mentioned that Mel Kiper Jr. only has one Longhorn going in round 1, which means there's no Jahdae Barron in this mock draft. Again, going back to the mock draft database, the average selection for Jahdae Barron, the guy who won the Thorpe Award this season in college football as the best defensive back in the nation, the average selection is number 24 overall to the Minnesota Vikings. So that's the average. I've seen Jahdae Barron go as high as 17th to the Cincinnati Bengals. There are 32 picks in the first round. Mel Kiper Jr. doesn't think Jahdae Barron is going to go with any of them. So the average at 24, Mel Kiper is bringing that average way, way down. I take the under on Kiper's prediction there as well. I feel very confident in saying that Jahdae Barron is going to go on night 1 of the NFL draft. When these NFL teams turn on the tape and they see what Jahdae Barron did all season long, again, the number 1 cornerback in college football. That's not our opinion here on the BK Show. People who vote on these National College Football Awards thought Jahdae Barron was the best in the country going up against SEC talent. Oh, by the way, Jahdae Barron was a part of the Texas defense that held freshman sensation Jeremiah Smith to one catch for 3 yards in the Cotton Bowl. We don't have to talk about the rest of the game, but I think Jahdae Barron is a big part of why Texas was able to keep that guy in check. People think Jeremiah Smith is the best receiver in the country. I do too. I think Barron deserves some credit for that. So I don't think Jahdae is going to be the first DB off the board, right? Travis Hunter is going to go in the top 3. I think Will Johnson at Michigan's probably going to go in the top 10. But I think Barron has a great shot to be the 3rd corner selected when we get to April. Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame is a guy who's in the mix as well. The kid Savon Ravel from East Carolina, who didn't play this past season due to an injury, he's a guy who's got a shot to be in that conversation too. But I'd be pretty surprised if Jahdae or Thorpe Barron, whatever you want to call him, doesn't go on Thursday night in the NFL draft. I also think he's going to do well at the combine. Like, the NFL draft is a lot about potential. Yeah, the college production and the tape matters, and that stuff's only going to help Jahdae Barron. But I think he's going to perform really well at the Underwear Olympics in Indy in a couple of months. He's fast, he's strong, he's physical, he can move incredibly well. I think he is going to go in round 1. So I disagree with Mel Kiper Jr. there. So there's the first round mock. Only one Longhorn going. No Jahdae Barron going. Now we get to some of the position rankings. And in addition to Mel dropping that first mock last night, he also dropped his updated list of top 10 prospects at each position going into this 2025 NFL draft. Now, the good news is a lot of Longhorns made the cuts. But I think a few of them are criminally underrated. We'll start with Matthew Golden. So Kiper does the top 10 at every position. I probably just said that. Sorry for saying it again. Mel Kiper Jr. has Matthew Golden as his 9th ranked receiver in this class. Daniel Jeremiah, who covers the NFL draft for the NFL Network, tweeted out last week that he might have Matthew Golden as his number 1 receiver in this class. So you've got one of the most credible names in mock drafting and draft analysis saying Matthew Golden could be the top player at his position. And then Mel Kiper Jr. saying the same guy is not even in the top 8. What's the deal? And by the way, Mel Kiper Jr. has Isaiah Bond 7th. No disrespect to Isaiah Bond. He's a Texas Longhorn. I'm rooting for him at the next level. And Isaiah Bond's got ridiculous speed, and he'll probably run a faster 40 time than Matt Golden at the combine. So Isaiah Bond's got a chance to go pretty high as well. But you watch Texas football this past season, and who was the more productive of those 2 wide receivers? Matthew Golden did what Isaiah Bond was supposed to do, right? When Bond came over from Bama, people thought he was going to be the number 1 receiver on this Texas team, and Matthew Golden was going to be the number 2 or the number 3. That wasn't the case. Matthew Golden, coming in from Houston, showed up and showed out, and he was dominant down the stretch for Texas, especially in the postseason. I'm here to tell you right now, there are not 8 wide receivers that are going to be drafted before Matthew Golden. And there are not 8 wide receivers in this class who are better than Matthew Golden. There are not 8 wide receivers in this class who will have better NFL careers than Matthew Golden will. Back to the consensus big board, by the way. And if you're curious, there are 87 big boards that are compiled on that website. The consensus has Matthew Golden as the 4th receiver off the board. Pick number 42 overall. So Daniel Jeremiah says number 1. The consensus says number 4. Mel Kiper Jr., no love for Matthew Golden. He's got him all the way down at number 9. We'll go to a couple of other Texas Longhorns on these positional rankings. How about Quinn Ewers? Look, Quinn Ewers is a polarizing figure. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't do this stuff for a living. I'm not an NFL draft evaluator. I try to avoid pretending to be. There's guys who are a hell of a lot better at this than I am. Mel Kiper Jr. has Quinn Ewers as his 7th ranked quarterback on this list. I think Quinn Ewers is one of the hardest players to evaluate ever, because in some games he looked like a top 5 pick and a true bona fide franchise quarterback at the next level. And then in some other games, I wouldn't want Quinn Ewers on my team at all. Like, forget as a starter. I don't know if I'd want him as a backup, because there are moments where it's like, there's no way that's going to translate well to the next level. But I think there's enough intrigue with Quinn Ewers, and there's enough good on film. And remember, we're talking about one of the highest rated recruits in the history of recruiting. This guy's got some arm talent. He's got a great mind for the game. I think he's got a shot to be a good quarterback at the next level. But Mel Kiper Jr. has him 7th, below Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, that's your obvious one too right there, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Kyle McCord at Syracuse, Will Howard at Ohio State. Again, taking a look at that consensus big board, they have Quinn ranked as the 4th best QB in this class. That same big board has Quinn as the 56th overall prospect in this class, which, hey, pick 56, that's in the second round. That same consensus big board has Kyle McCord at 177 overall, which is the equivalent of a 6th round pick. So Mel Kiper Jr. thinks a guy that the consensus believes is a late day 3 pick is better than a guy that the consensus believes is a 2nd round pick. Where's the love, Mel? Where is the love? I guess he didn't watch the game in Tuscaloosa last year. I guess he didn't watch the game in Ann Arbor this year. I guess he missed the Big 12 championship last year. Not a lot for Quinn Ewers right there. And Jahdae Barron, we talked about him a little bit earlier. Mel Kiper Jr. has Jahdae as his number 5 corner in this class, which is lower than most. So again, I don't know what's going on here. Am I biased? Of course I'm biased. We're talking Texas sports on this channel. I'm a graduate of the University of Texas. I love the Longhorns. Of course, I'm going to vouch for my favorite team. But most of the people who put these mock drafts and big boards together, they're not biased. And they're giving the Texas Longhorns way more love than Mel Kiper Jr. is. I can't quite figure out what Steve Sarkisian did to Mel Kiper to make him feel this way. But again, Kelvin Banks, I think, will be the first offensive lineman off the board. I'm confident that Jahdae Barron is going to go in the first round. And maybe the most egregious of all is the fact that Matthew Golden is receiver number 9 for Mel right now. Still plenty of time, still more than 3 months away from the actual draft. We haven't had the combine. We haven't had pro days. We haven't had interviews. There's a ton that can change, and maybe Mel Kiper Jr. will change his mind. But right now, Hair Gel not giving Texas much credit and not a believer in a lot of these guys taking their talents to the next level. Todd. That's enough, Mel. That's enough. What do y'all think? What say you? Comment below with your thoughts. Does Mel hate the Texas Longhorns? Where do you think Kelvin Banks gets drafted? Where do you think Jahdae Barron goes? And how would you stack up the Texas Longhorns going into the 2025 NFL Draft? We did a video about whether or not Texas can break the 1-year and or 2-year record for most players selected out of a single school. Right now, Georgia's got both of those records. They had 15 players picked in the 2022 draft. They had 25 players in back-to-back drafts, if I can speak here, which is an NFL record for the most from one school in a 2-year stretch. Texas, once again, 11 selected in 2024. Can they get to 15? Can they get to 16 in 2025? It's going to be tough, but I think the Longhorns have an outside shot. I'll put a link to that video somewhere up here so y'all can check it out for yourselves. But that's going to do it for today's edition of the BK Show. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, so close to 1,000 subs. If you made it this far, number 1, thank you. Number 2, please click the thumbs up. Number 3, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Again, the BK Show, your one-stop shop for Texas Longhorns content on YouTube, posting fresh content every single day. We're going to have more live streams coming your way in the not-too-distant future as well. Appreciate y'all watching. And remember, when you watch the BK Show, you rule. See y'all tomorrow. Hook 'em.